before the Supreme Court opposing CAA. DMK says CAA is arbitrary since it excludes Tamils who were persecuted in Sri Lanka. DMK says CAA against Tamil race. Now, on the court, they said that this CAA only pertains to people from 3 countries, that is Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and 6 religions, which are Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism. Then you have Jains, Parsis, and the Christian community, and excludes the Tamil Muslims as well. Going across to my colleague Purnima Murli, who brings us the details. While we try to connect with her, let me tell you that this controversy has been long-standing. DMK also protested against this in 2019. It was part of their manifesto to, in fact, come to power. They had said that if they came to power, they will oppose CAA, and they did. They also passed a resolution in the assembly against the CAA. They're one of the many states that have passed resolutions against the CAA, including West Bengal and Rajasthan, to name a few. And this is the latest. What happened was there was a development in the Supreme Court, and this is the development that we're bringing you. They have said CAA is arbitrary because it doesn't make provision for the Tamils. What about the Tamils who are refugees from Sri Lanka? They say there's absolutely no provision for them, and also points out the fact that there's no provision for Tamils who are Muslims as well. So they say that the CAA is arbitrary. They've been opposing this right from the beginning. Even in 2019, the DMK had held protests, and they have been steadfast in opposing the CAA. And their senior advocate, P. Wilson, in the court yesterday made these remarks that the act is arbitrary as it relates to only 3 countries and only relates to 6 religions, excludes Sri Lanka and excludes Muslims. So it says, going across to my colleague Ananya, who brings us more details. Ananya, what else transpired in court, in the Supreme Court, in these arguments? Take us through them.
Well, remember that, in fact, the DMK has actually filed a fresh affidavit before the topmost court of the country. This is not, in fact, an argument, but an affidavit that's been filed before the topmost court of the country. And what the DMK, first of all, says is that the CAA is arbitrary since it excludes Tamils who were persecuted in Sri Lanka. I'll read down that portion for you. The impugned act is arbitrary as it relates to only 3 countries, vis-a-vis Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh, and confines only to 6 religions: Hindu, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, and Christian communities, and expressly excludes Muslim religion. Furthermore, even while considering religious minority, it keeps such Tamils of Indian origin who are presently staying in India as refugees after fleeing from Sri Lanka due to persecution. So another charge that the DMK has is that the act of CAA, the Citizenship Amendment Act, is against the Tamil race. I humbly submit that the impugned act is against Tamil race and keeps out the similarly placed Tamils who are residing in Tamil Nadu from the purview of this particular act. So clearly, the Dravida Muntareza Kazam, the DMK party, clearly saying that the CAA, the Citizenship Amendment Act, is against, in fact, the Tamil race, is what the argument of the DMK is before the topmost court of the country, opposing, in fact, the Citizenship Amendment Act. Remember that over 200 petitions have been filed challenging this particular act of the central government, and we had seen how when this act had come in 2019, there were massive protests. In fact, violence also broke out in the national capital and other parts of the country over this particular act being into force. But the BJP government has definitely, in fact, strongly said that it will be bringing out the CAA. However, there is yet to come the steps for implementing of this particular act. Shilpa.
Ananya, you were telling us about the many petitions that were filed against the CAA. Of course, there's been firm opposition to the CAA, even legally. Take us through the legal challenges and the opposition that the act has faced so far.
Well, the biggest opposition to this particular act is that it is confined to certain religions, and it does not specifically include the Muslim and the other religions, but only includes the Hindus and Sikhs, particularly of that too, from only 3 countries, is what the charge that is being levied. It says that it is against the right to equality. It also says that these are against the right to freedom of speech and expression of the country. And we have seen how this whole legal debate had panned out. We have seen the topmost lawyers of the country coming in against the central government on this particular act, and in fact, how there was a massive protest taking place in the national capital and pan-India over these this particular act of the central government, and we've seen how there is also a politicization of this particular issue, and how the opposition parties too had in fact given out a strong opposition to this particular act. But then the central government is very clear that it will be bringing a CAA, and it is very clearly there now as a Citizenship Amendment Act. But this affidavit from the DMK is a very, very important one, because until now it was only the Muslim, those representing the Muslim community who were actually opposing this. But then now, in fact, the DMK, who is a very, very big political party in the south, has actually opposed this petition, saying that this is also against the Tamilian race, it's also against the Tamil.
Let's get some